Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming in on this Easter Sunday. This will be a different Easter for the royals, and we know that's because of health issues. Tell us what we should be expecting to see in the photographs, which will be coming soon.
Yes, so this is being styled unofficially as Easter Light. So very much the same structure and skeleton of traditional Easters,
sure,
but with a reduced number of royals and some slight tweaks to take into account the fact that His Majesty is undergoing treatment and does need to be separated a bit from the congregation because of infection risks and so forth. So
memories of COVID, perhaps?
Memories of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, because the King will be sitting slightly separate with the Queen, and that does remind us of the Queen in that very same building for the funeral of Prince Phillip, Duke of Edinburgh, which was almost 3 years ago, April the 17th. He died actually on April the 9th, so just over, a week or so from now. And yesterday was actually also the Queen Mother's death anniversary, the King's beloved grandmother. So I'm sure those memories will be sort of very much in his mind as well. We're expecting His Majesty to walk from the castle to the chapel if he feels up to it. That's a familiar processional route people will know from the Garter Day ceremony. But the walk back is a bit of a steep climb. So the State Bentley, we think, may be used for that. He won't be accompanied by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children because, of course, the Princess of Wales herself undergoing treatment. So they're understood to be in Anmer Hall in Norfolk, which is their country house, to give them some privacy where they can deal with and manage with what's going on there. We had expected prior to the cancer diagnosis for Princess Kate to actually make her first appearance at this service ahead of her returning to duties on April the 17th when the kids went back to school. That's all, of course, changed. But the rest of the royal family will all be there, perhaps without the Tyndall. Zara Tyndall has an equestrian event she's attending in Nottinghamshire. But aside from that, we'll have essentially the same sort of Easter we're used to seeing, but the King will not be attending the reception after the service and also won't be taking part in the traditional Easter lunch.
Oh, that's a shame. And we always look forward to seeing the Princess of Wales in her beautiful couture. We always love to see what she's wearing on Easter in particular, so we'll miss that this year. But I think everybody will be so delighted to see His Majesty the King, won't they? Because it's such a key moment, and for him as well, as a Christian, this is a key moment for him.
Yes, I mean, this is not his return to public life, but it's what they call turning the dial towards the gradual reintroduction, hopefully into taking on more roles. But as you say, for the royal family, Easter has always been hugely important. Her late Majesty and the current King, both people of deep faith. In fact, when the Queen couldn't attend Easter in 2022 due to ill health, that was the first time since 1970 that she had missed Easter, and then because she was going to Australia and New Zealand. The King himself was very upset not to have been able to attend the Thursday service at Worcester Cathedral.
Seeing some shots now from Windsor, Rafe. There we are.
So now the Easter Matin service starts at 10:45.
Yes.
So within the next few minutes, we should hopefully begin to see the entourage walk down. It was supposed to be weather conditional, but given that the weather seems quite good, and the matins will be conducted by the new Dean of Windsor. This will be the first time Dr. Christopher Coxworth will be conducting Easter matins, since he was only installed in November of last year.
Yes. So we're going to stick with these pictures because there may be a possibility that we'll see His Majesty the King, which I think a lot of our viewers would very much like to see. And I was reflecting when I watched Her Majesty the Queen give out the Maundy money at the Maundy Thursday service, how important that service was to the late Queen as well. She loved that service.
She loved that service, and she started the tradition of having it take place every year in a different location, in a different cathedral. And of course, Maundy is the name for the Christian rite of foot washing.
Yes.
And it commemorates our Lord washing the feet of his disciples before the Last Supper on the night before he was crucified. And in fact, it's one of the oldest royal traditions. It goes back to at least the reign of King John in the 13th century, who coincidentally is buried at Worcester Cathedral, where they just had the service. And kings up until the 17th century, King James II, would actually wash the feet of the poor. before. These days, instead of that, the service has a large number of people coming to represent the number of years of the King's life.
From right across the United Kingdom, because I noticed from my own diocese in Clocker in Northern Ireland, there was somebody there from Clocker, and I think that's a wonderful knitting together, Rafe, isn't it, of the UK, bringing people together.
That's so important that you mentioned that, and as the King said also in his wonderful Easter message, you know, his life is to be one of service, not to be served.
Yes.
And he reminded people that the example of our Lord in serving others should inspire us all around the nation to do that. And so 75 men and 75 women, one for each year of His Majesty's life, were at that service where they received special Maundy coins commissioned for the event, the number of coins also adding up to the sovereign's, the length of his life there. Good Friday, of course. The hot cross buns are made by the pastry chefs at Windsor Castle.
Ah, very good.
And the Queen, as you know, always observed Lent and never had meat on Good Friday, so she usually had a fish supper of hake. The King himself also, we believe, follows a similar route and also loves his fish.
Yeah.
And of course, today, after Easter Matins, His Majesty will be missing the lunch, but normally that's a grand affair, a four-course dinner with lamb and all the trimmings there, seasonal vegetables and so forth, and chocolate Easter eggs, of course, which are many of them are made by the chefs at Windsor Castle. Oh. There are special sugared ones for the adults, and the children get lovely decorated chocolate ones. We don't know whether there's an Easter egg hunt, but certainly in Victorian times, Queen Victoria loved that for her children. But the late Queen used to always leave gifts in Windsor Castle for her children, for her great-grandchildren rather, during the Easter celebrations.
And certainly Windsor would be a wonderful place to have an Easter egg hunt, would it not, Rafe? The grounds of it would be an amazing place to have an Easter egg hunt. I'm looking at that. It doesn't look like a steep hill, but it is actually quite a steep hill back up to Windsor Castle from St George's Chapel.
Well, it's most noticeable on Garter Day in June, when you have the knights and ladies of the Garter, the most senior order of chivalry, in all of their heavy robes, having to process down. And the average age of the Garter knights is, I would say, the high 70s and 80s. And, of course, you know, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen in their 90s wouldn't be able to do that. But the return journey is a lot more difficult.
It is.